Yo, what's going on, fam? So we have a great training for you today, identifying buyer questions inside of the sales call. So if you've ever been wondering to yourself, is this person interested in buying from me, and when do I actually make them an offer? This is the video for you. So if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe, hit the bell, and give us a thumbs up. Let us know in the comments, some feedback and what you thought about the video, if it was helpful, or any other videos you want us to make. If you're watching this on Facebook Live, like the video, help us expand the reach. Let us know where you're watching from. So what I'm going to do is go over a few different scenarios today and what we heard in a sales call review that we did on our team, right, at the sales agency. And if you guys want any additional help in your agency, then just shoot us an email. I'll drop that link underneath this in the descriptions. We're on Facebook. Just email us support@thesalesagency.com and let us know, the situation that you're in, see if we can help you. But I'm going to go over a few different scenarios that we went over in this call review so you can see if these are happening in your sales call, right? It doesn't matter what the industry is. Buying questions are typically variations of a lot of what we're going to go over today. So I'm going to show you a few different ways to handle the scenario and why, and then to know when they're ready to buy. That actually rhymed, and it was not intentional. So go ahead and like this video, guys. Give us a thumbs up, and let's get started, okay? I do these videos for free that are better, honestly, than the majority of paid trainings on the market, and I do that so this way we can help more people, right? So all I ask of you is to help us expand the reach, hack the algorithm so more people can see it, right? We can help more people. So let's start diving into this here. I actually have the list pulled up so we can keep this video pretty clean. So one of the first variations that you're going to see in a sales call, so what I'm going to write down on here is what they said to us in the call. You're looking for variations of this thing, okay? Because it's sales, guys. Sales is its own language, okay? If there was a Rosetta Stone, if Rosetta Stone could add another language, it would be sales, okay, in my opinion. But so nothing is ever going to be exactly the same word for word. So you want to be able to identify alternative ways to either say that or to hear that, right? The variations. So the first thing is, I've got to get this figured out. Okay? So you'll hear certain variations of this, right? I've got to get this figured out. So when you hear something like that, this is like, I don't want to go as far as saying it comes from a place of desperation, because it doesn't always do that. It can come from a place of frustration. It could come from a place of somebody's moving really fast and just wants to get to that next step faster without as many failures, if you will, right? As many hiccups. So there's a few different reasons why somebody could say something in the way it's said here. All right, but what we want to identify is to understand that there's some level of turmoil going on. Okay? There's some level of turmoil that they're dealing with that's causing them to say it in this way. Okay, but this is a buying question. All right, I know it's more of a statement, but this is a buying question. This is a buying sign, right? So when somebody says something like this, they're looking for a solution. Like, they're tired of being stuck. And keep in mind, in sales, guys, people don't buy into something. They buy to get out of something. Okay, that's how sales works. Okay? It doesn't matter what it is, right? Like this bookshelf that I have here. I didn't buy this bookshelf because I just wanted to have a bookshelf right here. I bought the bookshelf because I was tired of my books all being on the floor. I wanted to get rid of the messiness. I wanted to create more organization to be able to clear my mind, right? So if somebody were to have sold me this bookshelf, if they would have done it the right way, they would have evaluated based on the call with me that if I want to be able to take my game to the next level, that's going to start with clarity, which comes with the organization of my environment. And what does my environment look like? How could I clean up my environment figuratively and literally? And this would be a literal description of how I could have cleaned up my environment to better my thinking, to increase my actions, to better my performance, right? See how we reverse engineer that, work it forward? It's with anything. Okay, now they didn't press me that hard on this bookshelf because I already knew what I wanted. But if you were to go and position it, that would be the best way to position it without there being a whole lot of friction to buy at the end of the call. So what we want to do here is to help them slow down their thinking. Okay, we want to be able to turn this turmoil into clarity. Okay, we want to help them know that what they're going through, there is a simple way out. Not easy, but simple. Okay, because they are different. So we want to be able to do that in a few different ways. First of all, a lot of times somebody says something like a variation of this, they're going to typically throw up, right? So they're typically going to say a lot of things. They're typically going to start going on and on about either, if they're in a place of desperation, everything that's going wrong, everything that can go wrong, everything that they're tired of going wrong. If they're coming from a place of where they're already doing super well, they're going to explain everything that's going super well, and then they're going to start to put just dashes, right? Just dashes of the things that aren't working well. So you got to make sure you're listening to that. And then you're also going to have the people that are just frustrated, right? They're not in a place of money being the problem or whatever that is to where they would drown from that. They're just frustrated that the things that they're doing aren't working, but they're not in a place of desperation, right? And they're also not scaling super fast or moving super fast. So they're in this place of just frustration, okay? So they're going to start just listing everything out to you, right? If you've been on calls, you're probably now starting to recall conversations you've had like this where you're on a sales call, right? And you're starting to listen to somebody just throw everything up on you. Okay, so that's that person. They're just frustrated. Okay, and depending on all the other stuff I just said, we'll let you know if they're coming from a place of desperation, which typically makes a difficult client. They're coming from a place of frustration, which makes a very good client if you can fulfill, or if they're coming from a place of scale, which is an exceptionally great client, because typically those clients are even more hands-off and require even less communication. So there's just different types of clients depending on that. But anytime that this happens either way, we want to help them be able to, I'll repeat this again, slow down their thinking, add clarity, and let them know that it's simple. Okay, there's certain buzzwords that you can say in a sales call. Might do a different video on that, like buzzwords to use to be able to help people slow down their heart rate, right? And to be able to start thinking clearly by you slowing down their heart rate by using words that calm down their mind, put them at ease, okay? It helps them make better decision making. Okay, we're not going to get into that and how tonality and cadence can help you drive not just more rapport in the call, but can actually control somebody's heart rate, helping them think more logically so they're not saying no based on emotion alone because of price and things of that nature. We won't get into that today. I'll do a separate video. But these are the things we want to do to be able to help with the turmoil. So we want to slow down their thinking, create more clarity, let them or show them how simple it is. Okay? Be careful with the showing piece. We'll get into detail with that. So here's how we do that. They've already told you a bunch of stuff, right? It doesn't matter if they're coming from desperation, doesn't matter if they're coming from a place of frustration, doesn't matter if they're coming from a place of wanting to scale quickly or move fast. We need to figure out what is the priority, okay? So I'm going to explain why that is right now. If you guys are getting value from this, just put below insane value in the comments. Would love to see that you guys are being able to take something from this. So with the priority piece, here's the thing. The initial response to this and why most sales calls bomb, right? They don't turn out the way you want them to, is because the initial response to a buying sign is you want to come in and say, oh, no problem. We can fix that by doing X, Y, Z. Wrong, okay? You haven't dug deep enough. If somebody's coming from this place, there's too much going on in their head to be able to actually make a logical decision because they're from a really bad place of emotion right now. So the last thing you want to do is just to start dump how you can solve whatever it is you think is going on. I'm going to repeat that again. You think is going on. Just because somebody says something is happening doesn't mean it's happening. They think it's happening. All right, understand the difference. Just because somebody says something's happening is them thinking it's happening. It doesn't mean it's actually happening. All right? That is exactly why having like consultative calls with somebody you're buying from or having mentorship of some kind is so powerful, is because of foresight, to be able to help people see the world through a different lens, allowing them to think differently. Okay, so this way they aren't seeing these things as problems. Okay, they're seeing them as, hiccups in their next asset. All right, it's a completely different worldly view. And this is how you take somebody to that next level. But anyway, so instead of that initial response of you throwing up on the prospect, over here I want you to look at this priority. So here's how this works. If they list out all the stuff, your next question is going to be, this is how you position it, right? I'm going to even do it with the tonality and cadence and how you would say it. I'll just use the name Chip. Okay, we'll just go with the name Chip for this example. Whoa, Chip. Look, man, first of all, you're not alone. All right, we've worked with a lot of people and we've had a lot of conversations where, this doesn't surprise us, right? And I want you to know, man, totally normal. All right. So the first thing I want to address is you got a lot going on. Okay, there's a lot here that's happening, and we can both acknowledge that, right? We can both address that. So what I want to do next, of all of these things you listed out here, your frustrations, right? The things that just aren't working. What of these things are you currently prioritizing? What's the number one thing of everything you just listed here that you're currently prioritizing? So if you say it like that, you're going to be able to create, right, this emotional investment. And you're also, if you say it like that, you're able to slow down their heart rate. They've already gotten all the shit out. Okay, they've already gotten all the surface level stuff on the table. They've already brain dumped on you. Okay, they saved you the time to get all that stuff on the table. So they've already brain dumped. So what we're going to do is help them start to organize these thoughts. And what we're going to do is be able to chunk down more, which we'll talk about in a second, and how you're able to ask those next series of questions. But we want to figure out the priority, because what this is going to do is it's going to help them take all the stuff off the table that is irrelevant to creating a positive impact today. What that does for them is it puts them more at ease, because they don't have a table full of stuff spread out all over the table. Now they just have a few sheets of paper to look at. Okay? And we're going to dive into why that matters, how you can leverage that in a sales call in a sec. But with that, you're able to say, get their answer. And then next, you're going to go into this, how you respond. That makes a lot of sense. I could see why that would be a priority. So Chip, if you had to pick a second one, what would that second one be? Because you got a pretty long list here. So what's the second? So then that goes into answer number 2. Response. Nice. Okay. Yeah, I can see why that would be a priority for sure. I'm going to push you a little bit here, but if we had to pick out a third priority of this list, right? I'm going to stretch you a little bit here with this, but what would the third priority be? And then boom, answer again. Now, what we've done here, the first answer is going to be easy for them. It's going to be easier, right? To be able to pick out of all the things they just listed out, it's going to be easier for them to be able to identify the first priority. The second one, going to be a little bit harder to answer. There's going to be some silent pauses, totally normal, right? And then allow them to have some space now to be able to start to isolate what exactly it is that they need to be doing. A lot of time people are just so in their heads about so much information overload that they've consumed that's why they're not sure what to do. So this right here, these answers are going to help you be able to isolate the specific thoughts that are going to create the immediate change. Okay? That will also drive the most impact. That's why you ask these questions in the way you do. This is referred to as a question stack. Okay? So, and then the third one's going to be pretty difficult usually for them to identify, but it does stretch them a little bit so you can get them thinking and give you more options. Next, we're going to ask them another question to be able to dial that in further and say, okay, man, we'll actually do the role play here. All right, Chip, yeah, that makes sense. So basically what we're looking at, priority-wise of the huge list that we had coming into this call that you explained to me, all the frustrations, etc. So we just want to deal with X, Y, and Z, it looks like. And you're for sure like these are the top priorities of everything that you told me about. Yeah, those are the priorities. Okay, cool. It makes sense, man. And like I said, I'm not here to tell you what it's a priority. I'm here to help you be able to find the clarity in what should be your priority right now. Okay, it's not my job to tell you what is a priority for you based on the season that you're in. It's my job to come in to add the clarity so this way we can isolate your actions, and then this way you could take action in the right direction, creating quick change. And they're usually going to say, oh man, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Does this already feel a little bit better, Chip? Do you feel like a little bit more at ease seeing like it's not as crazy as it seemed before hopping on the call? And then Chip's going to respond with, yeah. Dude, yeah, I already feel so much better. This already makes more sense. Cool. Can we continue on? You ready to? And then Chip's going to say, yeah. Next question is going to be, of these three things here, which of these three things would create the most immediate impact for you today if you did find something to be able to resolve it? I try to use the word resolve instead of solve because it sounds kind of like a salesy word, because so many people are like bottleneck, solution, like all those words are just kind of like overdone. So I like say resolve, okay? So then you're going to find that one answer, and then whichever answer that is that he gives you, that the priority that will create the most immediate impact, if they found something to help resolve it today, this is going to be what you're going to focus on. Okay? So they just dumped this huge list on you of like maybe 20 things, right, out of their desperation, frustration, or wanting to scale quick and to move fast, and you've been able to narrow it down to one thing. Okay? So you've been able to turn this buying sign of just mess and be able to like hone in on the one thing that you can actually easily sell them because it makes the most sense for them. Okay, you're not selling your thing, you're selling them exactly what it is they want and need, and then at the end of the call, you're going to position your offer in a way that matches those specific things. So for example, if you go in and you're, let's say, a real estate agent, okay, and you're going in to sell the home and you're figuring all these things out, right? Well, it doesn't matter if the home has a bunch of extra stuff they didn't ask for. What matters is the home that you found for them, you're going to sell them, matches all the things they want. It has the swing set or the big tree in the backyard for them to put a swing set. It has the fire pit, so this way they could invite people over because they have so many friends, and they could have all these get-togethers to create the long memories that they could talk about as they get older, right? It has the bathtub inside of the master bedroom that also has like see-through walls to be able to see like the bedroom itself, so you could have those intimate moments with your significant other, right? To be able to create that passion that you're looking to ignite with your new marriage, right? So these are the things that you're looking to position to them. It doesn't matter if the house has more or less of anything else. What matters is, can you deliver on what they're looking for? That's what you position your offer to be. Nobody gives a crap about everything you can do in your company. Or if you're a sales rep, just know like nobody gives a shit about all the features that you have available. The only thing they care about is, of the things you have available, can you deliver on what it is that is their primary current focus that will create the most immediate impact. All right? So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to actually erase this and go to the next part. So this way we can, let me grab my eraser. So let's dive into the next one. So again, you can replay this video if you want to rewatch this piece. I'm going to get into the next. Buying sign. This is a pretty dense training, guys. I told you I was going to come at you with some good stuff today. It's a dense training. If you guys want any help in your agency, right, or you're a sales rep looking to drive massive commissions that you've never seen before and to be able to set record sales months, shoot us an email, support@thesalesagency.com. Just let us know what's going on so we can lend some advice, maybe book a call with you if the situation and timing is right. So all right, here's the next thing. So another buying sign. I'd love to hear more about your program/service, okay? And they'll have, again, this is about variations, alternative ways to hear and see something. So what I'm putting up here is going to be like what we heard in the sales call review, but you're looking for variations of this, okay? I'd love to hear more about your program or service, okay? So here's what you don't want to do. Initial response would be you going in and telling them exactly what it is you do based on what you think they need to hear, based on what they already told you. Wrong, okay? You're typically going to lose a sale that way because you jumped the gun too fast. So what we want to do here is to be able to identify why they asked that, okay? Because typically they hear one thing that they like and they think that's what they need, so most sales reps or whatever will go in and tell them that one thing, okay? And that's when you lose a sale, because if you say something that does not completely resonate with exactly what they're looking to fix, which by the way you haven't uncovered yet, then they're going to write you off. They officially have already determined you are not right for them, even if you are, okay? They're going to write you off. So that's why you want to make sure you don't shoot yourself in the foot by prematurely throwing what you think is the right solution at them, or the right feature based on what you think would be a solution for them, when you're really identifying the wrong problem. You haven't identified the right problem, okay? So over here, here's what we're going to do. So you want to first figure out, are they asking this randomly? I'm not even going to write this up here, so we just pay attention. Are they asking this randomly throughout the sales call, or did you prompt it? Okay, so here's the difference with that. So if you prompt it, then you're still in control of the conversation. So as an example, you would initially prompt this type of thing after you've diagnosed everything at the end of the call, and then you would segue into the question of, well, based on knowing all that, would you like to just see what the next steps look like, or would you like me to lend some advice first? So this is a form of permission-based selling, and when it comes down to this and you doing it, this is going to allow you to be able to determine if they just want to buy now, or they are still a little bit leery, right, of moving forward, and they want some advice, right? They want to feel a little bit better about you knowing and you listening to them. So when you give that advice, you only address the things that they brought up, the main things, nothing else. Do not expand on them. Do not give additional information. Do not tell them something new that they didn't know, because at this point in the call, you're already about typically 30, 40 minutes in, and you do not ever want to tell them something they don't know that is new information. Big difference from raising their level of thinking and challenging their thinking. You don't want to inject new information to them at that point in the call. You will lose it. Okay, you will lose the deal, because a confused buyer always says no. If you give them more to think about at the end of the call, then what's going to happen is they're going to need to think about it. They're going to need you to send them a proposal. They're going to need you to send a list of what you do. They're going to need to see references. So if you're listening to this video right now and you're saying to yourself, oh my God, I just had a call like that recently, then shoot us an email. We'll see if we can review it, support@thesalesagency.com. And then also know, like, this is probably why it happened, okay? So you want to make sure that you're leveraging that advice in a way that only addresses their main diagnosis points, and then also leverage it as a value stack. Similar to how if you guys watch a webinar, or if you guys have ever seen a webinar, at the end of the webinar, they do a value stack and they keep listing the things that you get and they put the value next to it. So you're just like, wow, this is amazing. I definitely want this. Same thing in a sales call. When you're giving advice at the end of a sales call, it's your own form of a value stack. You're not putting numbers next to the things that you're saying, right, that you're addressing for the diagnosis, but it comes off as value to them, right? So it's almost like your own value stack in the sales call, okay, subliminally. So we want to make sure that we are prompting it. I'm going to put you prompt it. This is the right way to do it. The wrong way to do it is if they say this in the middle of the sales call, they're in control. So they do not prompt this. You do not want them to prompt this, okay? They say, I'd like to hear more about your program or service in the middle of the sales call. Here's the thing. There are 7 things you need in a sales call, and I'll do a different video on this, but you need an introduction. You need to know that you're building rapport properly, pain points, urgency, diagnosis, offer, and collection. And if for whatever reason they bring this up before you're going down to make the offer after the diagnosis, that means that you didn't get the highest degree of urgency that they're going to buy on, why they need to buy now, what would make sense for them to buy now. You don't have the pain, highest degree of pain, which we talked about in the last scenario. So odds are you're not going to sell them. Okay, people don't buy on pain and urgency, they buy on the highest degree of pain and urgency. An example is, I'm all about world hunger, right, and helping solve that, and like sex slavery and homelessness, but I'm not investing all my time, energy, and resources into it, right? So you wouldn't be able to sell me on a super high ticket thing to learn how to do that right now, because it's not my highest degree of pain and urgency. So it's the same, even though we do support that with every sale that we make, we do donate to that. We're not going to get to that right now though, but just so you guys know that. But anyway, you want to make sure that you get all those pieces. If you miss any of those pieces, the likelihood of them buying is going to be slim to none. So you want to make sure you don't overlook that. And if they ask this in the middle of the sales call, you miss one of those steps, or you don't have it. I don't want to say you missed it because you haven't had the chance yet to go through it. So you need to make sure that you are not jumping the gun on this, because you will shoot yourself in the foot. Okay? You can address it and say, absolutely. Is there anything that stood out to you so far that's made you want to ask that? Because typically people only want to do that at the end of the call when they know, like, hey, I love what I've heard. So is there anything specific that you've heard that made you want to already see our program, like details around the program and service? And identify what they see as value, okay? And then take notes on it. So this way you can continue on along the conversation. All right, let's get into the next one here. This is going to be our last one here, guys. If you are enjoying this and getting a lot of value out of this video and you feel like it is going to help you in your next sales calls, go ahead and like this video and then subscribe to the channel if you're watching on YouTube. Help us expand the reach. I do these for free so we can help more people, right? So let me erase this and we're getting into the last one here, guys. And if you guys want us to review your sales calls or to see how we can help you out, just shoot us an email, support@thesalesagency.com. We'll see how we can help you out. So here's another one. Now, you wouldn't normally identify this as a buying sign, but it is, okay? So when you do enough sales calls, you're going to start to recognize the things that are actually smoke screen buying signs or smoke screens of something else, okay? So how is what you do different? This is a major buying sign. So the call like that we're talking about right now that I reviewed on the team is actually one of the calls I did. Okay, so I review my own sales calls as well, as you should do. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing this. I've been doing this 10 years. I still review my own sales calls with my team to get their feedback as well. Another set of eyes from another pro is only going to make you better. Sharpen your sword. The minute that you stop doing that is the minute that you get left in the dust. Okay? Be a pro. So, and by the way, I closed this deal. Still reviewed the call. Review your wins, review your losses. Okay? That's what makes you great. If you only review your losses, then you're already missing. So, how is what you do different? So, I got asked this question in the sales call by the prospect. And the thing is, the reason why is because they've already talked to and bought over the last few months from multiple credible people. Okay? So they asked me this question in here. And what you want to do here, the main goal, is you want to get them to be able to sell themselves. Okay? They need to validate why you're different. If you start to go in and the first response is typically like people will just answer this question, right? And then tell them how they're different for everyone in the market. Wrong. You're going to sound defensive and you're going to, I mean, if you've heard in court, like the first person to get defensive typically is wrong, right? Something like that. This is the same thing. If you go in there trying to defend yourself and why you're the best, it's like a little child getting frustrated, right? Because they shouldn't be in trouble. Okay, that's kind of what it comes off as. So what we want to do is get them to self-validate. And I'm going to give you guys an example of what you can say. This is what I said. So you want to get them to self-validate. And what we want to do that is based on, I'm not even going to write this up here because it'll take too long. Based on what you know about us, do you see a difference? Right? And the reason why I would ask that question is because this typically comes up a little bit later in the call when they've really understood that you get them. Okay? They truly feel you can help them. Okay? So this question typically comes up later whenever they're trying to justify to themselves why you guys are the best fit over all these other people they bought from that haven't worked yet that were also credible. Okay? So I would only ask this question whenever I know that I've done the rest of the steps the correct way, right? The introduction, knowing I built rapport the right way with tonality and cadence, making sure that I went through the pain, found the highest degree, went through the urgency, found the highest degree. If they ask this question, and I know that we address all that and they feel heard throughout the call, then I can say something along the lines of, based on what you know about us, do you see a difference? And then they're going to list the first thing. And then I say, all right, what else? What my goal here is to exhaust every single thing and to be able to get to stretch their thinking so they can keep saying, yes, you're different because, yes, you're different because, yes, you're different because. And then all I'm going to do is say, I agree with you. And that's it. Literally, they just self-validated why you're different based on the question they asked you. This is an NLP term referred to as apply to self. And this is something that you can do where you re-ask the question back to somebody in the way that they asked it so they could basically have their own epiphany. Okay, this will allow you to self-validate. They will self-validate it. And then you just agree with them to reinforce that new validation they just had for themselves. It's that simple. So if you want to get to this point, guys, you need to make sure you're asking intelligent questions through the call to be able to challenge people's thinking. If you're asking better questions, that is going to make you the expert. Okay? People buy from people like them. People buy when they feel understood. Okay? These are just golden rules of sales. It's just like anything else. If you're dating, right? If you guys are currently dating, typically somebody is going to want to go out with somebody again or advance the relationship if they feel like that person truly cares about them on a deeper level because they've listened. Okay, they truly understand you. That's where the bond comes in. Okay? So this is no different. In a sales call, you're basically on a date. You want to make sure that you can understand them better than anybody else can. Because if you can understand them better than anyone else can, which will derive from your intentional questions, right, and your question stacking to be able to dig a little deeper, then you're going to realize that it's a lot easier to have somebody say yes to you because they just feel right. It just feels right. And logically, it makes sense. So like, I'm going to do this, but they will always be nervous. They will always be a little bit scared. And that's just a part of the process. And you can let them know that. So anyway, guys, this is how you deal with this. How are you different? And again, sometimes it's not going to be exactly word for word because sales isn't exactly word for word. That's why frameworks are typically a better use of your time, right? And are much better assets. So you can then create scripts based on your industry, which we help you do those types of things if for whatever reason you feel like that's lacking in your company. It's not as effective as it could be. And if that's the case, email us, support@thesalesagency.com. We got your back. But at the end of the day, guys, you want to look for the variations of these things. These are just a couple that I pulled from the sales call review I did of myself with my team. So look for the alternative ways you can say those things. So guys, hope that was helpful for you today. Pretty dense video, I understand. But if you did find it helpful, let us know in the comments. I had a couple live comments here on Facebook. We'll answer those real quick. But if there's any videos you want to see, drop them in the comments below. So this way we can make some videos to help you solve those specific things and resolve those things. So the question here is, what if they think the narrow it down to is something that you don't offer or offer a resolution for? So Teddy here on Facebook Live asked this question. And Teddy's question was, what if, and this is from the first scenario, guys. So if you want to rewind the video, rewatch it, this is from the first scenario we went over as you're like narrowing it down, right? Chunking down. So what if they narrow it down to something that you don't offer a resolution for? So if that were the case, then you would say no. But let me be clear about something here. The likelihood of that happening is very, very slim. The reason why is because what you do can help them resolve that typically in one way or another. They wouldn't be on the call with you. Okay, you should only be hopping on calls with people that can leverage your assistance in one way or the other. Doesn't matter what you sell. Okay, let me give you a great example. I once sold, when I was selling Kirby vacuums door to door, I once sold a Kirby vacuum to a house that had all wood floors. Okay? The reason I did it is because they had furniture that we could use the shampooer on. Okay? The Kirby had a better vacuum mechanism for like a handheld vacuum deal than a broom could do. Oh, and by the way, this machine's going to last forever. At the end of the day, if you were to go out and buy shampooing systems and if you were to go out and buy a bunch of brooms because the bristles on these like die out, yeah, of course we're only looking at like $10 a broom, and we're only looking at like maybe $50 to $100 per shampooing. But in the span of 20 years, 30 years, because I mean you're going to live longer than that ideally, right? That's what we're looking at. This is like a no-brainer, right? So, and then of course the bed bug test, we'd go in and help them take out all the bed bugs out of their mattress with that vacuum too. So yes, I sold a Kirby vacuum to somebody that had all hardwood floors. Cash money. All right, that was a $1,500 sale, cash money. All right, and some trade-ins of theirs. We won't get into that. But anyway, so if it's something relative to what you can do, you sell the product or service. You should only have two principles as a sales pro, and it is, can I help the clients? Number two, do anything you can to make the sale if you can help the client. Okay? Sometimes that's addressing something bigger, sometimes that's addressing something smaller. But at the end of the day, those are the two things you need to be worrying about as a sales pro when it comes to your mentality in the sale. Can I help the client? Do everything you can to make the sale happen. This is what's referred to as a win-win scenario. Okay? So Teddy, hope that answers your question. Typically, the likelihood of you not being able to help them if they're on that call with you with something they have going on is going to be slim to none. Just slim, typically, very rare. So hope that was very helpful for everybody. Again, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching Facebook Live, share the video, tag some friends, like it, to help us expand the reach. That's why I do these for free, which are better than most paid trainings. And if you guys want some assistance from my company, my team, the sales agency, email us whatever's going on in your company you feel like could possibly be done a little bit better. Support@thesalesagency.com. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.